Hello, I'm Kayla Ryan, and I'm going to be discussing the central themes within my final paper for my Literary Research and Theory seminar. The title of my paper is called Crime and Punishment, an Analysis of Colonial Judgment in Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. And Then There Were None, this book right here, is a mystery novel written in 1939 by the English writer Agatha Christie, and I use this as my primary text for analysis. The two main literary theories I focused on within my paper are post-colonialism and reader response. However, before I dive into my analysis of Christie's works, I want to first address the concept of crime and mystery genre and its purpose. When a reader thinks of a crime fiction or the murder mystery, more often than not we ponder the ideas of morality and guilt. Ethics as a whole tend to be the main focus that these genres revolve around. We as readers question why crimes are committed and how the culprits of these crimes feel about their actions. Agatha Christie is well acquainted with these ideas because during her fame in the early 1900s, she was able to rewrite the genre of crime fiction and give it new meaning. This is where And Then There Were None comes into play because the victims in the novel are not innocent in any way, shape, or form. The characters within Christie's novel are subject to ethical judgment in the form of murder. Each were involved in the deaths of other human beings, but either escaped punishment or committed an act that was not subject to legal sanction. Their killer, a literal judge by the name of Lawrence Wargrave, murders them one by one and serves what he believes to be the justice that was never put forward. However, this is where my thesis comes into play, there becomes an irony present in the fact that none of these characters are given any colonial judgment for their Eurocentric ideas and the dehumanization of the other in the text. Wargrave himself cannot even be exempt from this judgment. He perpetuates these ideas, not through the actions of killing his victims, but how he kills them. The irony present in Christie's text does not appear in the writing itself, but rather in the reading of the text through a post-colonial lens. In other words, looking at the text from a contemporary standpoint serves as a magnifying glass for seeing the colonial discourse in its clearest image, if that makes sense. Basically, the reader's response and experience this work of literature and viewing it through a post-colonial lens is the only way these racist and essentialist issues are brought to light. The two main examples I use for textual evidence in favor of my thesis are the history of the novel's title changes and how that correlates with the nursery rhyme, and the 10 China figures featured in the novel, as well as the crime that the character Philip Lombard committed to get him on Wargrave's kill list, and the other characters' reactions to Lombard's crime. In order to delve into these examples, I want to give a brief summary about the story in relation to my thesis. And Then There Were None is about an assortment of 10 individuals invited to a mansion on a mysterious island off the coast of East Devon by an unknown stranger, later revealed to be Wargrave himself. Posing as one of the 10 guests, Wargrave inconspicuously murders each of these victims in a way that seems to be parallel to the deaths in a nursery rhyme he recalls from his childhood. This nursery rhyme was known as 10 Little Soldier Boys. And now this relates to the title changes because it wasn't always 10 Little Soldier Boys, just like the title wasn't always And Then There Were None. In the original UK publication of Christie's novel, which was published in 1939, the title of And Then There Were None was originally called 10 Little... I kind of just don't feel comfortable saying the word, so I'm just going to keep holding this up every time I say it. But yes, that was the original title, and along with that, instead of it being the 10 Little Soldier Boys and the 10 soldier statues, it was replaced with this. And this is an obvious racial slur. Now you can really see why the title really had to be changed, but it took a while to get to And Then There Were None, because in America, it seemed that we were much more progressive because a year after the publication in the UK, in 1940, America changed the title to And Then There Were None in their editions of the book. But in England, in the United Kingdom, in Europe, it took a long time. The title was changed to then 10 Little Indians in 1964, which wasn't much better, and it wasn't until 1987 that the title was officially changed to And Then There Were None for good, and no other titles were available. So when looking at it in a new context, thinking about the nursery rhyme and the statues, each time Wargrave killed another victim, he either disposed of or destroyed the statues, depicting these marginalized people. Now, you really wouldn't think anything of it when you were looking at it through the perspective of soldiers. Oh, it's nothing, it's just like a game. But when you're thinking of it through a post-colonial lens and thinking about the original title and the history and just this idea of the other, Agatha Christie uses the other for pure entertainment, for the sole purpose of enjoyment, of mystery, of intrigue. The other is dehumanized to nothing more than a pawn that is used in Christie's game. Colonized become a thing rather than a person. When most colonial readers are thinking about, oh, who's going to be killed next? I wonder what's going to happen. Will it correlate with the nursery rhyme? When will the next statue be smashed to pieces? The post-colonial reader will be focusing on how this representation of marginalized people, of the other, is not okay. But continuing on with the idea of dehumanization of the other, moving on to my second example, being the character of Philip Lombard, he is probably the character who should be the most scrutinized by colonial judgment of them all. He was a mercenary responsible for the deaths of 21 members of an East African tribe. That's it. That's all that the book says. That's all it really mentions about his crime. They don't say we're in East Africa. They don't mention any names. That's really it. Christie really only focuses on the crime itself and not the people that were killed. And interesting enough, Lombard is the most eager to come forward and admit that these accusations are true. In the book, Lombard is one of the two characters who comes forth right away and takes responsibility for his actions. And he even says that natives don't mind dying, you know. They don't feel about it as Europeans do. So this is Lombard basically saying that the colonizer only present to fit the needs of the colonizer and nothing more.